Good morning. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning. It's a joyful morning for the Sheriff's Office for sure. We're about to welcome 30 new deputies to the Sheriff's Office as they graduate from their academy training this morning. But we also felt the need to address a couple of high-profile cases that we've been blessed to be able to make some arrests in, and wanted to share that information with you all. The first case we'll talk about is the case of Giovanna Barrera, a 24-year-old young lady that unfortunately lost her life to violent crime and was a true whodunit from the onset. And our investigators did a great job of following up on some limited information that we were able to develop from some witnesses. We gave limited vehicle information on that day. It turns out that vehicle information was accurate. And that our investigators did a great job on following up. You know, we had some information that was a bit unclear. We had a license plate, for example, that the investigators were able to find that it was off by a digit. But they did some great work in tracking these folks down. Yesterday, did a great job of putting a moving surveillance together that really went all over the east side of the county and the city. They worked with Eagle and from SAPD and of course some other, various agencies from within our various units from within the agency worked together to keep this moving surveillance, and they were able to stop the suspects in this case on a traffic stop and develop enough information to place them under arrest. They found them to be in possession of a weapon that we believe to be the murder weapon at this point. And so they brought those suspects down and did some interrogating. And we're able to determine that at this point, it appears that, unfortunately, Giovanna was murdered for a cell phone. You know, as tragic as that sounds, it appears that it doesn't appear that there was any connection between them and Giovanna up to this point. For some reason, they spotted her, and the male suspect in this case, Daniel Calvillo, I'll give you his identifiers, wanted her cell phone. So he approached her. She was sitting in her car, taking off her roller skates. She had just gone roller skating for exercise. And do we want to move? We're going to relocate under some cover here. I'll give y'all time to get situated. For the viewers, we just had some rain that we had to deal with, so we had to move under some cover. Are y'all ready? Okay, so what we gather is that the male suspect in this case, Daniel Calvillo, wanted her cell phone. And so as she was distracted, taking off her roller skates and getting ready to go inside for dinner, he approached her and demanded her phone. Giovanna, it appears, refused and threw her phone under the seat of the car, which is in fact where we found her cell phone. And so that actually added up. At that point, it appears Calvillo, just in cold blood, at close range, shot her in the head and killed her right there with what we gather to be just very little remorse at all, and then fled the scene. And so we were able to thankfully get them in possession of that weapon. And so at this point, Daniel Calvillo, 28 years of age, SID number 950108, faces a charge of unlawfully carrying of a weapon and capital murder. The other suspect in the case, Keyana Jones, and I'll spell her name for you, Keyana Jones, common spelling, 20 years of age, SID number 1060507. She's charged at this point with felon in possession of a firearm. However, I think there's a pretty good chance that she may be charged at some point with the capital murder as well. As you all know, Texas is not an accessory state, so we don't charge you with accessory to murder or accessory to capital murder. Everybody's guilty of the same charge here. Whether you fired the fatal shot or you drove the getaway car, everybody is guilty of the same charge. And so I foresee that Keyana Jones may be charged with that capital murder, but at this point she's charged with felon in possession of a firearm. Apparently she's already got some felony convictions in her record, and just the mere fact that she was in co-possession of that weapon is what led to that charge. And so on the day of Giovanna's murder, I actually spoke to her grandmother personally. And of course, the grandmother told me that she really played a large part in raising this young lady and was understandably heartbroken. And on that day, I told her that we were going to do everything we could to bring these people to justice. And I'm just proud as can be of our CID investigators that they were able to do that. And we made good on my promise to Giovanna's grandmother. And so we hope and pray that they find the closure that they need, in this case. To this point, obviously, this is a wound that's never going to heal. We're just not designed to, as humans, we're just not designed to bury our kids and bury our grandkids. And unfortunately, this family is going to be faced with that reality. But whatever solace we can bring to them with this arrest, we're happy to do so. Let me also brief you all on another case that we had this past week. Again, is the plane interfering? Again, another young man, 24 years of age, also cut down in the prime of his life. And granted, this young man, I believe, was involved. There is a drug nexus in this case. However, he was killed in such a way that nobody deserves to be, no matter what they're doing or what they're involved in. I'll give the plane a second to pass. So the other night, I guess 3 nights ago, in the 6800 block of East Loop 1604, our victim, Joshua Fowler, 24 years of age, was shot and killed. As I mentioned, there is a drug nexus in the case. However, these 3 suspects just came out. They were armed, and I believe they had in their mind exactly what was going to happen. There was a violent confrontation during which Mr. Fowler was hit with a weapon, and then he was eventually shot and killed. He died there on the scene. Again, our investigators did an outstanding job of following up on information that they had. This case was a little more clear-cut given, but these suspects fled and had to be tracked down. Now, I would like to thank our partners at the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force. We have 1 deputy assigned over there at the task force, and they all did a great job of tracking these suspects down and, again, doing an outstanding job of a moving surveillance, basically setting up on these people and following them without them knowing they were being followed. They were at some point followed through Bexar County and into Guadalupe County, where they were located, and then they were placed under arrest. So we arrested Lane Devin Wooten. Last name is spelled Wootan, 23 years of age. Jennifer Wooten Blankenship, she's 46. I believe she's the other suspect's mom. And then William Blankenship, who is either a dad or a stepdad, 59 years of age. They were all charged with first-degree felony murder of Joshua. And so, again, with regard to Joshua's family, we're happy that we can bring them whatever closure and solace that we can. We pray that they're able to recover from this devastating loss that no family should ever have to suffer. But that is the extent of these 2 cases. Are there any questions? Okay, en español. Esta mañana nosotros estamos dando información tocante 2 casos de homicidio que ocurrieron el otro día, hace 2 días, que Giovanna Barrera falleció a causa de un balazo que ella sufrió. Ahora ya arrestamos a 2 sospechosos en conexión con ese caso, y lo que se sabe es que el sospechoso Daniel Calvillo intentó robar el teléfono de Giovanna. Ella simplemente estaba haciendo ejercicio con sus patines. Ella se sentó en su carro, en su casa, en su carro, y ella se estaba quitando los patines cuando el sospechoso se le acercó y él demandó su teléfono. Ella no quiso dar el teléfono, sino que ella aventó el teléfono bajo del asiento del carro, y el sospechoso le disparó una vez en la cabeza, y desafortunadamente ella falleció a causa de ese balazo instantáneamente. Nosotros logramos agarrar información tocante el carro de los sospechosos, y ayer nuestros oficiales hicieron buen trabajo en encontrar ese carro y lo siguieron hasta que arrestaron a los 2 sospechosos con una pistola. Y esa pistola es la que nosotros pensamos que fue usada en el homicidio de Giovanna. A nosotros nos da mucho gusto poder arrestar a estos sospechosos y darle algún sentimiento a la familia, que ojalá y ellos a ellos les ayude en estos momentos que ellos están pasando por un tiempo que pues yo como padre no quisiera que nadie sufre esta tragedia así. Y pues a nosotros estamos disponibles para ayudar a nuestro público cuando se les ofrezca en cualquier caso. También quiero dar información tocante un homicidio que pasó la noche anterior que el homicidio de Giovanna. Pero se sabe que Joshua Fowler, un joven de 24 años de edad, también como Giovanna, él falleció a causa de un balazo que él sufrió a las manos de 3 sospechosos que otra vez dentro de las 24 horas del homicidio nuestros oficiales hicieron buen trabajo de capturar estos 3 sospechosos en el condado de Guadalupe y pues otra vez nos da mucho gusto poder que estos sospechosos se enfrentan con los cargos que ellos se merecen por sus acciones. I'll open up to whatever questions you might have.
En relación al caso de Giovanna Barrera, ¿ustedes cómo es que logran la detención de estas personas?
Bueno, un testigo, bueno, tuvimos información, tuvimos video de una cámara que una de las casas cerca del homicidio logró tomar video del carro. Entonces sí teníamos ese video y podíamos averiguar qué clase de carro era por ese video, pero también nos dieron información tocante a la placa. Ahora, la placa se equivocaron, naturalmente es lo que pasa con estos homicidios, con delitos. Cuando un testigo nos da información, muchas veces se equivocan en los números, pero nuestros oficiales hicieron buen trabajo poder averiguar que el testigo se había equivocado un poquito en los números, pero encontraron ese carro y ya lograron arrestar a los sospechosos. No, se aparenta que los oficiales hicieron buen trabajo de pues pescarlos por sorpresa y ya los arrestaron con la pistola y que nosotros pensamos que usaron en el homicidio de Giovanna.
¿Qué tan frecuentemente matan a alguien por un teléfono?
Bueno, es algo que afortunadamente no pasa muy seguido, pero es algo que una vez mucha. Es una tragedia que una mujer que ella solamente estaba haciendo ejercicio y en su casa, en su vecindad donde ella se sentía segura y desafortunadamente estos sospechosos para ellos no fue nada quitarle la vida a esta mujer, esta jovencita por un teléfono. Entonces por eso nosotros vamos a hacer todo lo posible para mandar a estas personas a la prisión y lo que el fiscal determina es la mejor acción con el cargo de capital murder. Ese es un delito que también a veces merece la muerte y es algo que es posible en este caso, pero ese está en el fiscal lo que él quería hacer. Por ahorita a nosotros nos da mucho gusto poder arrestar a estos sospechosos y ojalá cuando menos los mandemos a la prisión por el resto de su vida por lo que le hicieron a esta jovencita.
Daniel Calvillo, ¿ustedes lo conocían ya?
Daniel Calvillo, no sé, hasta ahorita no sé yo si él tenía récord, pero sí sé que Kiana Jones sí tenía récord de felonía y por eso ella en estos momentos se enfrenta con el cargo de alguien con felonía en posesión de una arma, pero será posible también que ella va a enfrentarse con el cargo de capital murder también como Calvillo. No, nomás yo sé que era un teléfono de celular, pero no sé la marca, pero simplemente que este sospechoso, él intentaba de quitárselo a fuerza y desafortunadamente él no le quitó el teléfono, pero sí le quitó la vida a esta jovencita.
Both of them have 20 years old, right?
24.
24.
And the female suspect in the first case, what was her involvement in it? Was she just listening?
Well, at this point, we do know that she was driving the car, and she whether she wants to believe it or not, she drove a getaway car for a capital murder suspect. She knew what he'd done, and yet she still helped him evade. The right thing to do in that situation would have been to extricate yourself from that situation and turn in who you know to be a capital murder suspect. But she chose to run, and she chose to help him, and she chose to harbor him, and she chose to aid and abet. And so, quite frankly, if I had my druthers, she would be facing a charge of capital murder, and I hope that she does very soon, that we add that charge to her. Well, I don't know Calvillo's criminal history. I'd bet dollars to donuts that there probably is a criminal history there to some extent. You don't just commit capital murder your first time out of the gate. And so I would bet money that he's got a criminal history. I just don't know it. And I don't know Kiana Jones in particular, but I can tell you that she was charged with felon in possession of a firearm. So that tells me she's got a felony on her record already. Conviction, and that she was in possession of this firearm. So yeah, I would venture a good guess that these two, this is not their first brush with the law.
¿Cómo el alguacil está trabajando para evitar este tipo de situaciones como lo que ocurrió con esta joven?
Pues nosotros estamos trabajando bien duro para darle los consejos a la comunidad que cómo prevenir ser víctima del delito, y pues con Giovanna es dificultoso poder prevenir algo así. Ella estaba en su derecho a hacer ejercicio en su vecindad. Ella estaba en su derecho, ella estaba en su casa, en el carro afuera, simplemente quitándose los patines para entrar a comer con su abuelita, y desafortunadamente este sospechoso se le hizo fácil quitarle la vida a esta mujer. No sé cómo, realmente no sé cómo poder decirle al público a evitar estos problemas, simplemente que pues tengan cuidado en cualquier momento, porque el delito no le importa a los sospechosos, no les importa dónde vive una persona, de qué manera ellos hacen su trabajo, de si tienen familia. Estos sospechosos, viciosos, a ellos no les importa la vida. Entonces, para nosotros está en nosotros tener el cuidado en cualquier momento, no hacerles fácil esos momentos, no quitar el cuidado en esos momentos que estos sospechosos se les van a acercar y hacerle mal. Okay? Thank you all so much for joining us this morning. Take care.